Welcome to the Agape Purpose Podcast, and today we are joined by a very special man, Mark Stockeland. Mark, thanks for joining us.
Thanks. It's a privilege and honor to be here with you guys.
Thank you. And of course, we decided to bring back Bruce Bosco. No comments this time?
I'm going to be a potted plant today because having Mark here, you don't need to do much. This is going to be your easiest interview. This guy, he walks into a room, the temperature changes. So
Dude, everyone focuses on Mark as soon as he enters the room.
He's a bright light. So
and he has so much wisdom to pour out. So I'm very excited to hear about it. So let's just start. What brought you to ministry in Haiti?
Well, the background. First of all, thank you, Bruce. I try to be a shining light.
It was inauthentic, but you're welcome.
I love you, dude. I went on a mission trip with my dad, mom, and three brothers. I got three brothers. Oldest is Matthew, I'm Mark, Luke, and John. So Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. We all went to Haiti when I was 17. Matthew was 19. We're all teenagers, 19, 17, 15, 13. We spent 2 weeks in Jeremy, Haiti. It was a long story. We were supposed to go with my uncle and aunt in Africa, and they were home on furlough, and it didn't work out. So my dad had preached at a church where they supported a missionary in Haiti, Jeremy, Haiti, of all places. And so I went on a 2-week trip and never, ever thought that I would be in ministry. But that's where missions was I was exposed to missions to begin with.
So you were exposed to missions where you are today.
Today, yeah.
That's so unique. Like, expand on that story. Like, obviously, we know your dad was also a missionary as well. So how did that connection continue into your adulthood?
Well, a little bit of the background was, and no fault to my parents or anybody else, but I got two younger brothers who are highly educated, and they were the ones that everyone thought they'll do ministry. You're not gifted for ministry, but I also never felt that call. I felt a lot more like Moses, that my dad's a pastor, my younger brothers are amazing at ministry. I just wanted to make a lot of money and support. Got to change my heart there. I wanted to support those in ministry and make a difference in Haiti with those people, but I never felt it was for me. So that was kind of I never really had that call till later in life.
So what was that call? When did it happen for you?
Well, I spent a few years, my goal was to be a professional golfer. I spent a few years trying to qualify on the PGA Tour, the mini tours in early 2000s. I met my wife, Lacey, at a Youth for Christ hangout, back in 2000, and I was traveling around trying to play golf. I still was trying to pursue my dream, and God opened some doors where I was able to pursue a couple great opportunities. I had broke my foot playing basketball, lost some sponsors, and God started to change some of those things in my career as well, where I realized that I had to pursue something else other than just the golf thing. And so I ended up becoming a golf course superintendent. I got to help grow in Jack Nicklaus Golf Course and work with Jack Nicklaus a little bit. Really cool dream job. But that was the job I was at, making great money, lived in a gated community, had all the toys, the new cars, everything. But I remember like it was yesterday. I was sitting on hole number 9, one of my favorite holes, a little island green, and slight dogleg right. And I was sitting there and looking over at my wife, and they had a big party at the clubhouse because on number 9 you can see the clubhouse. And I just looked at my wife and I said, "So is this it?" I said, I feel like God has created me for something so much bigger than this. It was the American dream, like per se, like I had achieved everything. I was making money and I had all those things, but I felt like there was something deep down that was like, I wanted to blaze a trail and do something with my life that people would want to follow, that would be inspirational. And I know it wasn't just making money and working at a golf course. While it was fun, it was an open door. I got to share the gospel with people. And at that moment I knew, and within weeks of that feeling, met with my pastors and said, I feel called to go to Haiti and plant churches and make disciples. And so
change the world.
I think it's so unique because we all know your story, a little bit inside and out, but it's just so unique to see someone who hears God's calling and is immediately like, I got to make this change now. Like, why do you have such urgency to everything you do?
I think that you're not promised tomorrow. And so I kind of live that way. I try to live that way most every day is, I walk in here, I want to encourage people, love on people, make people feel special, seen, known, and loved. And maybe that's partly my background is that maybe I felt overlooked. So I never want others to feel that. But I also just realized that when you look at scripture, like, man, I want to make the most of today. If I just sit back and be complacent, it's easy to get too comfortable, and then we really don't make an impact. So I wanted God's writing a story with each of our lives. He's writing a book, right? And then, so the question is your life worth reading about? I wanted mine to be worth reading. And up until 2009, when I walked away from everything, I would say mine was just a boring old American dream, and so I wanted to do something different, and I'm not going to say it's easy, and I highly don't recommend every single young person doing it, because there's my personality and temperament's different. Growing up on the farm, I know how to kind of make things, fix things or handyman or do a few things that, maybe the average person might. I don't know. I'm just saying God definitely had that call in my life, and that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a perfect fit for someone else to just walk away from everything that quick, right? But I didn't have a year or two to go learn the language or fundraise. I didn't know how to do any of that. So
was there like a scripture or event or a person who kind of like helped guide you along that early process? Not
really. I mean, the scripture for me, like living the difference, is on all our bracelets, and we have it on our shirts and things, was 1 John 3:18, dear children, let us not love in words or tongue, but in actions and in truth. So I've always said in my family that we can't just say we love Jesus with our mouth. We need to back it up with our actions, our lives, what we do. Same thing with Haiti. When we moved to Haiti, we're like, we can't just say we love Haiti. We love the people. How are we going to back this up with what we do? So that's a verse that, has shaped us. So
what was your early expectations to the reality once you started coming down to Haiti?
To be honest with you, I was talking to my wife, Lacey, about this. I didn't even really have this many expectations. I didn't know really what I was getting into, didn't know the language. I moved down, started renting an apartment, had no financial support. I just knew I wanted to invest in leaders and make disciples. And I was going for the long haul. I kind of felt like there's a lot of people love to do things, not critical, but like build something, feed them, turn around and walk away. That's a quick, and those are great. I just knew I was Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, the Gospels. That's the other thing that kind of shaped me, is that Jesus took 12 ordinary men and he turned the world upside down. And so I was like, I need to figure out how to do this, how to invest in leaders. And so my expectations weren't necessarily like, hey, I need to have this amount of leaders, or it just kind of evolved just organically through building relationships with the local men and women.
Yeah. What was the first experience when you walked into Haiti, full-time minister? What was that feeling? Like, what was the story that you felt? Did you feel overwhelmed? Did you feel like this is my calling? What was it like?
I don't know if it was, I guess you step foot in Haiti and you're like, all right, here we are. I didn't know the language. I didn't have any friends. I didn't know what I was doing. I just woke up every day and just took each day that God gave me, the new people that build relationships with. I was excited. I wouldn't even say nervous. There was nothing to be nervous. I didn't know anything. I didn't have any, I didn't have any social media to post. I didn't have any cool gear to promote. I didn't have a website, a logo yet. I mean, I just moved over trying to go, okay. And my son was just born. So just trying to make sure I spent every day just trying to figure out how to buy food and protect my family, at the apartment we were in, and try to start building our house, So I don't know. That's a weird answer. I just didn't have a lot of expectations, because I wasn't going into it like, hey, I'm working for this organization. I got to get there and get these roofs built or get this going.
By just as yourself, not connected to any previous organization. Having no expectations helped you. It sounds like.
Yeah, I didn't have any. Didn't have any deadlines to meet. It was just, like I said, organic, just meeting people and engulfing in life, in the culture there. They see me down at the market with my wife buying food every couple days. Well, that you immediately start to build relationships, and here's this new American family down.
Well, what I remember you saying, I think you were alluding to the fact that it's really important to, you felt, learning the language. You can't really reach people, and I'm just trying to quote you a little
that's
bit,
true.
But,
yeah.
How do you reach them without? So Mark made sure he learned the language and things like that, just to be able to speed up, I guess, the process of bonding with the culture there.
You get tons more respect and more done if you can speak the language and communicate with them, joke with them. It didn't take very long once we learned the language to realize that, the prices of things are, you're considered Haitian when you speak the language. So it surprises me, actually, how many missionaries, and I don't want to be critical, but how many people don't speak or try to learn the language fluently, because that's where you get that deep relationship and respect, because you're trying your hardest to make sure you can communicate on all levels. So.
Were there some early people or stories that you'd like to tell, like that, hey, they helped me through these early processes to help me get that foundation of what would be Haiti Bible Mission?
Oh, yeah, for sure. It'd be three of our core guys still to this day. One of them is Rainus, Dr. Jackson, and Pastor Elda. Those were the three that, they were three young men that I had invited in to live with us right from the get-go, and they became, they're the ones that when you mess up speaking Creole, they just laugh and go, "You meant to say this, right?" And but they're like, "Don't say that out in public," right? Yeah. And so, but they've actually become family. Like my kids call them, like brother, sister, or more like uncle and aunt. They're because now they're all married with children, and it's really cool. But yeah, so those three are the main three. We've got many more, but those are the main three from the beginning. Our first year there, they started living with us, and we were helping them with school, and now here they are. They're actually three of our top guys running the ministry now. So,
and I'll just interject. One of my favorite things about Mark and his ministry that I came to learn is that he builds leaders, Haitian leaders. So Mark kind of like worked himself out of a job, really. Yeah. So when I send flight paperwork there, Mark said, "Hey, when you email me everything, you email Reynus, you email Eldad." Yeah. And that's the first time I can remember anybody ever telling me that. Like, hey, send this to them as well. And when they have questions, they send me back a question, or they try to figure things out. So one of the most impressive things for me is Mark intentionally has built leaders there amongst themselves. And I think a lot of people intend to do that, or maybe think, yeah, at some point we'll do that. And I'm sure it's a lot different doing it than just planning on doing it. But you guys have done it, evidently. So hats off.
Thank you, man.
How do you focus on staying grounded in that mission when you're worried so much about, building up that, but you also have a family as well? So how do you find that grounding in what you do?
With the family and building up leaders?
Yeah.
I think it's just, I follow, it sounds so crazy, but I just follow the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, just follow Jesus. It wasn't like come in and do this curriculum. It was life on life. And so a lot of times they was just eating meals at our house together. It was, hey, I'm driving down to get gas. Do you want to join me? Hey, I'm taking my son down here. Do you want to join us? And just doing life and building those deep, authentic relationships with people. But that goes across the board. If you and I hang out and spend time together, we're going to get to know each other on a deeper level, and we share concerns, or I get to hear your heart and passion, and you get to hear mine, and they got to see as these younger men and women, as Lacey and I were married with an infant at the time, but our struggles and the things we're good at, what we're not good at, and so that just morphed into the discipleship process of how we mentor. And it starts from just spending time together to then, hey, let's go through the Word of God together, and hey, let's do this, and what are your dreams? And so that's what I do is I raise money in the U.S. to help the men and women pursue their dreams. So if they said they want to run their own podcast, then I will raise money, put them through school to run their own podcast, but then we do English, we do discipleship, plug them in the local church, teach them a skill and trade, we give them housing, we give them a little stipend. We do marriage counseling, we do money management classes, we do all the things to try to set them up for success spiritually and economically so that they're not dependent on me or Haiti Bible Mission. But there again, it's not just classrooms. Sometimes a lot of that is just, it's the life on life, spending time. And so.
Yeah, I think a lot of times, and again, we're not here to speak ill, but a lot of times these people who are trying to reach out to these people are on a mountaintop, that the people that they're trying to reach out to don't feel like they can obtain and communicate with them. And I think that puts you in a dangerous position when you're called to serve and you're putting yourself in a position that's not, I wouldn't say lording, but you're above them, that you're unattainable, you're unreachable. Like, that's not the calling of Christ. Christ is saying, hey, we're in the trenches together.
100%. Well, I mean, like, there's times where Lacey and I have been up in a room just going, like, at times, like, man, we're just in a fishbowl. Like, everyone can see everything. They hear me yell and swear, and then it's like, I got to come back and apologize. But they saw both. They saw this anger rise out of me and some words, and then I get the chance to, because one of our mottos that we have is leading and serving with humility and excellence. So everything we do, we want to lead and serve humbly with excellence. So the humility comes, hey, guys, yesterday, you heard me. Because some of our staff live with us, live at our house, and so you're always doing life together. So they're going to see the good, the bad, and the ugly. That's also the teaching moments. Hey, you saw Pastor Mark get upset and yell and say something I shouldn't have. And I get to go and ask forgiveness. Hey, you heard me arguing with my wife. And those are hard things because I don't live with you, I don't live with you. So I think Bruce is awesome, but I'm not married to him. I don't see him, but guess what? If we did, we'd see each other and we'd see some of those flaws. Now the question is, do we just brush it under the rug, or do you say, hey, Bruce, I'm sorry. Hey, Mark, I'm sorry for this. And that's what I think really can help build that deeper, is that, man, these guys aren't perfect, but they also admit it and ask God's forgiveness, ask my forgiveness. And that's a culture thing that breaks down barriers in Haiti, because I'm not above them. I mean, by any means.
And there's two things that I can confirm that he's saying is, one, Mark initiates relationships. From the time I met him in here, he does that. And the second thing is that just in passing, coming in and out, him bringing cargo here or stopping by, you know, as much as we'll laugh and have the Christian kind of conversations, Mark will voice his frustrations he's having in ministry or challenges. Hey, what do you think? You know, I'm thinking, why are you asking me? I don't know, you know, but that's how transparent he is. So I can confirm that that's what works for them in their ministry, what they do.
So that kind of leads into the next topic. I want to know, how did your relationship with us begin?
I heard about you guys. Steve and Jolene Moore, I don't know if that name, they were missionaries outside of Jeremy, like in Marfrunk area, but we became friends with them, an older couple, and they had to go to Kai's. This is in the early days. I mean, like in 09, 10, 11, 12. I think I met you guys in 11 or 12 because I rode with him over to get stuff from you guys, and they would get some things flown in. And so, but back in those days, it was very hard. It took us 8 hours just to get to Kai's from Jeremy, 8 hours one way. So a lot of times we'd have to spend the night. It was a real ordeal. So like we never saw 15 miles an hour ever because it was just 4-wheel drive all the time over. It was bad. It's 82 miles and took 8 hours. It's crazy. But I heard about you guys, but didn't know anything about the relationship or how you guys serve, but it was impossible for me. I didn't have the funding at the time. I didn't have the vehicles to be able to get back and forth to Kai's. But then it was maybe a year or two after that, so maybe around 12, 13, I applied, became partner with Agape, and then ended up, I would go over like every 3 months. That was a big deal. And I used to have to borrow or rent a truck from a guy that had a really big truck that I could go in. And I tried to maximize. Back in those days, I wouldn't just fly in 20 pounds because I'm not driving 16 hours, to go get 20 pounds worth of stuff. So I'd try to maximize and say, hey, can you just send all 100 pounds, 200 pounds? And I would drive over, and it got to that, and that relationship. And then I remember visiting here in the U.S. I remember like it was yesterday, the first time I showed up at Agape Flights in Venice, Florida, coming from Haiti, going, man, you guys have flown some stuff in Kai's for us. And I'd tell you guys about that trip, but I remember Alan meeting me and walking down in the hangar here and literally asking everyone to come around and pray over us. That was the first thing I remember, is just let's pray over them. Prayer was the number one thing out of his mouth, and I just met the guy, and that stuck with me about just who they really were, as they cared about my marriage, asked, hey, how's your marriage? How are your kids? How can we pray for you? How can we serve you? I was just blown away. And then it worked out where they started working on the road, getting to Kai's. I started going to Kai's every month, and then it ended up being every couple of weeks, and then they did some work on Jeremy Airport, and next thing you know, they were flying into Jeremy. Now they're flying into Jeremy last few years, a couple times a month. It's been amazing. So
yeah, and I love anytime we fly into Jeremy, I get these little pop-up notifications from Instagram that Mark Stockeland's tagged you in a photo, and I just love it because like that's so cool. Like we get to see the fruits of the labors.
Yeah,
and so when a missionary takes the time and showcases that for us, that builds us up as an organization as well. It's like, hey, what we're doing matters.
Oh, it matters big time.
And it kind of leads into my next question is, what has Agape Flights done that to help support Haiti Bible Mission that has affected you the most through the years?
It's too much. I can't. We don't have 4 hours. You guys lifting our arms, like, I mean, when we were stuck there for the year during COVID, bringing in foods, much wanted supplies, bringing in generators, bringing in speakers and sound systems for our churches, bringing in the tools and things that we needed for construction projects, and just soccer balls and equipment. And like I said, the basketball goals that we put up around different places in town. Everyone knows when I've shipped a ton of basketball goals with you guys because we place them around town and kids get to come out and play, and soccer goals, and kids are setting up these soccer goals. Like Agape Flight's footprint is everywhere around Jeremy, because we got soccer goals, basketball goals, we got, the things. So you guys have meant, it's not, I was trying to think through, is there like a flight that like made the difference? Every time you land, it's like Christmas for us, because the things that we can't get are the challenges that we go through. But after Hurricane Matthew, you guys were flying nonstop, multiple planes, renting planes, and just landing. Your pilots are spending the night at my house, and we're going, and you just look back and go, man, Agape is with you through thick and thin, but they're literally there to serve you. We don't treat you guys like you're not FedEx. You guys are a ministry partner. We pray for you. We pray for your funding, your donors. And we want to be a blessing to you, but we feel like we get all the blessing because we're over there in Haiti, and yeah, things are hard, but man, I can honestly say I don't think we'd be able to do it without you. It would have made me, I've wanted to quit every couple of years. But like, this is too hard. I'm getting out of here. And my wife would remind me, hey, stay to the course, what God's called you to. But if it wasn't for Agape, I think it would have been way harder to stay, because you guys have lifted our arms and encouraged us, not just through prayers and things, but when you land and you're giving us those tools for my Haitian men and women to go do it, you're like, oh my goodness, what would we do without you? I can't get that anywhere, you know?
Well, I'm going to flip the script a little bit because from our perspective here, Mark is kind of the ultimate partner. You know, he's talking about everything that Agape's done for him and his ministry, but many times Mark comes to the front when we have an issue or a challenge, and hey, let's ask Mark if he can help us. Every single time, as long as I've been here, the answer's never been no. So I'm going to let you tell a story because you know the details better than I do, but one particular story comes to mind is when the bridge went out and you guys had to drive the truck over and move some cargo. Can you just kind of walk us through what happened there and exactly how you guys almost couldn't get through? And
that's happened many times. Yeah, after the one earthquake, the bridge was out and the only road, to get in and out. And but wasn't that because you couldn't get to Kai's? Was that the one that we took all the cargo to?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a couple times we've taken all the Kai's cargo from Jeremy, 3,000 pounds or something in our truck, but had to go across the river 4.5 feet high and multiple trucks and pulling. And I lost a couple trucks to the river, but we were willing to risk it. And this is a time when things are dangerous as well too. So yeah, we had full blown.
It wasn't a definite thing.
No, it wasn't definite. I was like,
well, we'll just drive through the river.
Yeah, it was like, we're going to risk it. We're going to figure it out. But there was a tow truck that we rented to help pull us through and make sure the cargo didn't get wet. And man, dude, we pulled every kind of string we could. But yeah, there were multiple times where I'm just thankful. I'm willing to always take that risk, but we made sure we had full-blown security, everything to make sure that all the cargo of every missionary, because I realize that cargo is so special, important. We don't want it wet. We also want to make sure nobody steals along the way, because when you're transporting cargo through dangerous times and only one road in and out of a country, it makes you go, wow, dude, we can't lose this, because I know there are missionaries dependent on medication and stuff. So, but I actually kind of like that, because I'm like, man, we can show up and actually help these people, because if we don't, who else is going to do it?
Yeah, there was no reluctance. There was just excitement to meet the challenge. It was something that we didn't have a solution for it. There wasn't something we were going to fix.
God always has a solution.
And, these guys just jumped into the void. It was just amazing, because I'm thinking, holy smokes, we're going to lose a missionary.
No, we live for this, man.
The other story, though, I guess was a little different, was the time that our team got stranded over there.
From them burning the
plane got attacked, and I think you were called upon to send some guys out to retrieve them. Where was that out that you had to go get them?
Well, we went and picked them up in Kai's. They were out doing a project, and my guys got word right away that I called the office. I said, Carol, I was like, your plane's on fire. She's, what? I said, I've called Alan. I can't get a hold of him. So
Alan
I was the one.
Didn't know after we did.
Yeah, so I knew right away. I called Carol, the office here. I was like, hey, just want you to know, because we've got a lot of friends in Kai's all over Haiti. So I was getting pictures right away saying, guys, everyone assumes that Agape's, they're like, your plane. They're always like, your plane's on fire. Well, it's not mine. It's Agape's. But I was like, I'm going to call them right away. Hey, just so you know, there's people jumping on your plane. It's on fire. They're pushing it. I got video and picture. What? So but then we thought maybe that Alan and the team would be in danger. So I was able to get my security team. We got the local Haitian SWAT, some of my really good buddies, and we were able to get a couple caravans together, and we went over and grabbed the team, brought them over to Jeremy just to be safe, because things were pretty hot. Yeah. So, but anytime we have a chance to partner with somebody, help a missionary, man, we I don't know, we thrive on that, I guess.
The staff told me you showed up well equipped. You guys,
I'm not supposed to. I probably shouldn't say everything we had, but yeah,
they were ready. They were ready to protect.
Ready. But you got to be. And every year it seems like we get a little bit.
Yeah, that kind of leads to like, what does leadership look like when you're working in a place as unstable as gang-controlled Haiti right now?
I was thinking about that this morning. I feel like we've just learned, especially. I've started ever since Hurricane Matthew, but in 2016, but it's gotten worse over the last couple of years since they assassinated the president. Is like the book of Nehemiah. I mean, like we build a wall with a sword or spear in our hand, and we're always ready. You always just have to have a lot more security protocols, a lot more plans. We've invested in a lot more security. We just take a lot more safety measures. We don't stop. We keep moving. The enemy wants us to slow down and stop. And I'm sorry, we're not going to do that. I'm going to figure out a way. It's going to cost more money, or it's going to take longer. It's okay. We're still going to do it. We're still going to do food distribution. Okay, well, you could get attacked. Okay, well, then here's what we're going to do to prevent that, or here's what we're going to do to make sure that we can still do it, so that the kingdom work still advances. But Are there times you have to slow down? Sure. There's certain days you can't. But for the most part, we've just taught our guys that, hey, man, the same God that delivered the lion and the bear is the same God that's going to deliver the giant. And so if we're facing something, we go to God. We do our due diligence. And that sometimes means you got a spear in one hand or a sword, and you work with one because the work has to continue, and the enemy is going to keep attacking. So it's not really slowing down, and we're just going to keep doing the best we can.
Is there a story that kind of like illustrates both the danger and the hope that exists in your work right now?
There's always danger, especially when it comes to food distribution, because the desperation from the riots. There's so much unpredictability. We haven't in the last few months had anything, but the last couple of years we've had some major incidences out trying to do food distribution. Our caravans being attacked, or people, and rightly so. I mean, desperation, when you're desperate, right? Desperate times, people do things that. I have 5 kids. I've never been where they're at, but what would I do if I had to feed my 5 kids?
These aren't just gangs; these are just the people as well.
Sometimes the people, yeah. There's gangs. There's been some stories of that. I'm not going to go into all that, but there's even sometimes people block roads, and there again, there's too many. When there's hundreds or thousands, it doesn't matter what you're equipped with.
Yeah,
you don't want to be known as the missionary that.
Yeah.
That did that. We're definitely not going to let gangs, the best we can, take control of our stuff, but the people who are there to serve them and love them. And so we're always looking at ways of how we can strategically bless the people along the way of where we're headed, things like that. So I call it greasing the wheels a little bit, keep people happy a little bit as you're going, because there's certain projects we have and places we work. But there's a hope, because we've seen God do so many things in the last 16 years that how could we not believe in the future of what God has? And if at any moment I wanted to back out and walk away because things were hard, or like I was going to say, I think every year I want to quit, or especially in the early years. And I think one reason I wanted to quit was because I didn't see immediate fruit. As an American, we're like, we want to see results now. And what we do at Haiti Bible Mission is for the long haul. It's discipleship. And you're not always going to see those today, but now after 16 years, you see the fruit of sticking it out, loving people, walking them through that hardship, or discipling them, helping them get that job, whatever it is. And so now we look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, if we would have ever walked out, and I think it was my own pride and selfishness of wanting to go. I want to be noticed. I want to see that my work is doing something. And God just had to humble and break me of that. And so, I see what God's doing in all the men and women we have. And I just have that same hope that and belief that we have more leaders that are ready, excited, and
it's good encouragement, good word. When I think of Mark, I think of when Paul said, the kingdom of heaven isn't made of words; it's made of power. So even though he's eloquent and he's a great mover and shaker with the way he leads by what he says, he's a doer. He's got his guys over there doing things. And I think Haitians. They're the ones I've met that have come here. They're like a lot of us. They want to do for themselves. They want to be productive. They want to accomplish. They want to overcome. And Mark says, "Okay, well, let's do that." It's not I'm here coming in on a white horse and saving everybody. Yeah. It's never his approach. So it's a powerful example. It's a blessing to see it, and that's why we love him.
We got 13 new leaders in our program right now that are being discipled, equipped, going through the training. I haven't done any of it. It's exciting to watch our men and women doing all the money management classes, teaching English, doing Bible study. I'll be like, "Hey, what are you guys studying?" They're like, "Well, we just went through the book of Proverbs, and now we're going." I'm just like, "Oh my gosh, it's awesome!" So that's when I've worked myself out of a job where I can just raise the money, tell the stories like this, hang out with Bruce and you, and just encourage my team, because they've got it. They have a desire. There's a lot of Haitians that want to grow, that want to learn, and now it's not looking at me, the missionary. It's they're doing it, and they have a desire to help teach their own people. And
don't be put off by that. They'll be like, "Tell you, this guy works, man."
I don't sit around and golf every day
if you
as much as I want to.
And you don't get a text back, it's because he's flying somewhere. Guaranteed.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a hardworking guy.
Do you feel like the next generation of leaders you're raising up have to be trained differently than they were 10, 15 years ago because of the ever-changing environment?
Maybe a couple things, but I would say majority of it's the same. I think it's a mentality. It's like I just have a different mentality. I mean, if God says it, well, then I believe it. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's figure out a way. He'll figure out a way. I just think when it comes to trusting the Lord and having a mentality that I can do it and I want to see change, then you'll figure out a way. And like we all will do and put forth an effort for the things that we love. and the things that we want to do. If I said, hey, do you guys want to go to a ball game? And you said, well, I don't have the money. But then I see you going on a vacation somewhere, then really you put your money, you know what I mean? And so what do you care about? Do you care about your city? Do you care about getting married? Do you want to get a job? Do you care about your walk with God? Okay, if you do, it's a mentality. And so I just try to help teach the discipline of what's your goal? What's it going to take to get there? And what are the steps you're going to put in place to make that happen? You know? And so why I asked the question, why do we have missionaries for hundreds of years in Haiti and we're still dealing with some of the same stuff? I'm trying to shift and go, well, maybe it's because we're trying to do too much. I'm trying to push you and do it. Well, I'm going to watch you fail. And then we're going to learn. What'd you learn from that? Okay, how can we do it better next time? All right, let's go. The hard thing with that is it's painful, it takes time, and it costs money. Because if I can do it better, well, why don't you just do it? Well, the whole goal is that you can do it. The whole goal is that then you could do it and learn from it and go, oh, the reason I'm good at this is because I made a mistake and I've learned. But now that person is now teaching our new leaders. He doesn't have to go, hey, Mark, come in and tell a story of how you failed. He's going to be able to go, hey, I failed early on with Pastor Mark. Here's what I learned, and look at where I'm at in my life now. So I think if we're staying on track with biblical things and the strategic way of just helping people with their game and focus and determination in those things, I think you combine those things for greater success. And I believe the Haitians are tired of living in this country and world where it's so hard and they don't have much of a future. I said, well, you are the answer to that. You and your kids, your generation, you don't have to wait. We can change it now, but it starts with you. So change starts with each one of us.
Yeah, I think your athletics background plays into that. You know, we're always taught, failure is the best teacher you can ever get inside of sports. And like, it's a mentality. Like, if you don't experience it, then you don't believe it. I think that's the truth behind it. So like, if you choose to not fail, just to, stay in the status quo and do the same thing over and over again, there's going to be no growth.
Right.
There's no change happening from that.
Right.
So let's finish this with what role do partnerships like us with Agape Flights play into the future of Haiti Bible Mission?
Oh, Agape for the future is new building projects, shipping stuff down, the friendships, the prayer. You guys, we've had donors come alongside us and help, and you guys have shipped parts down, medicines, life-saving stuff. Agape Flights is one of those partners that obviously because of the planes, you guys can help get things to us, which are necessary, but also the friendships, the prayers, because of our unique relationship, it brings in other donors and other businesses go, how can I get involved? And they can support financially, they can pray, they can come on a trip, they can donate materials. We've had companies and people here, oh, you're doing this, we got sound equipment or we got construction material, you know what I mean? And now Agape is going, we'll fly it, I pay for it, they're donating it, and everyone's working together to accomplish certain things. So looking forward, I'm sure that all these new leaders are going to have aspirations and dreams. There's new projects we're going to be doing in the future. And I go, who knows, maybe one of these men or women are going to be a pilot one day and go, I want to fly to save and help the very people where I grew up out of. I mean, you never really know, because as people get educated and grow and have a heart change for the gospel and the Lord, you never know where they're going to go and what they're going to do. So I think it'd be cool if a lot of missions and partners like Agape started having, Haitian or all the countries where you guys fly and serve actually come back and start going, this means a lot to me because I was one of the ones that received it. Right. And now I see the benefit, and they're coming now when they're raising funds with donors or something, they're like, hey, let me tell you the impact, so it's huge moving forward.
It is. And I just want to throw something out before we're done, because this is the side of Mark that if you don't know him, you don't know this, but when he comes here, and more often than not, he'll say to me, hey, here's our things that we need to get over there. He'll always say, if you can get it on the plane or when you can, put other people on there first. And I'm not saying that because it sounds good. He literally does that. Whether it's, hey, if Jeremy's load is full, hold my stuff back. Or, if you need to get stuff to other people, send mine later. And he'll always go out of his way to kind of like let me know that there's optionality with his cargo. And he don't have to do that, I'm not going to send it until I'm ready anyway.
That's all right.
But honestly,
you're not there right now. You don't need it.
One of the things I think that motivates you to help a ministry and to be there for them is when you see the humility where they're putting everybody else first. So you feel like you need to watch out for them because they're not pushing themselves to the forefront. That's the spirit of his ministry over there. Those guys are always just looking for everybody else, like what they did with the truck going through the river. I mean, there was no benefit to them. No. They were risking their own equipment, I think
You
God,
laugh. I feel like there's more to this story.
Well,
that
just
you
because
can't say.
we've
No, I
had
get
to
it.
do it so many times.
but
and we
God
ended-
notices that stuff,
exactly.
man.
Yeah.
God notices. He sees all.
If, let's finish with this last question. If someone feels that call to missions, what would you say to them to help them fulfill that call?
If they're called to missions, first thing is to step out of the boat like Peter, and that's what I told people. Like, how are you going to do this? I said, I don't know. I'm just going to get out and walk on water. God called me. He told me to do it. He'll make a way. But I do think surrounding yourself with good people, Proverbs says the multitude of counsel is your safety. So I do believe sitting around with some people that can affirm that, can give you guidance. Maybe another time would be to, we learned a lot through that, just jumping in and moving right away, to have a support group and have people praying for you and encouraging your marriage, because my marriage went through a lot of hard things. I went through a lot of hard things. And so it's lonely on the mission field. I think that's why Agape Flights is so important, but that's why board members are good friends. And, there's a lot of things that I could look back and, as an older seasoned missionary now with 16 years, I go back and go, what would I change or do to somebody new? I'd make sure they were set up that, because finances come and go, but your emotional, spiritual health, your marriage, your family, you shouldn't sacrifice. God doesn't call you to sacrifice your family for the sake of the ministry. God doesn't need us. He wants us, but we have to find that balance. So I would really encourage people to go and not being the savior, not being the hero. Go for it, go do it, but make sure you don't burn your marriage or your family out on trying to serve. God will get you through that, but just having that good support system and stuff. So.
Knows his stuff, man.
Yeah, it's like he's been there and done that
Yeah.
before.
This isn't his first time around to explaining these things. I think he's,
I don't know. I'm not on many podcasts. I always got to watch my mouth. I ruffle feathers too much. But I would say too, I don't know if we're done on this. I don't know how professional we are here. I love Agape, but I think one thing I would want to challenge all listeners in America here listening would be like my time in Haiti, what it's taught me, that I would say, what would I want to tell people? Pascal is one of my closest friends. He's one of our top leaders at Haiti Bible Mission. I've known him for a long time. He's one of the most attractive, handsome men, tallest, most athletic person, best character, personality you'd ever meet. And when I met him, he was far from the Lord, but he had all those characteristics. And we played basketball together. He was visiting me in Port-au-Prince, and on the way home, he was on the back of a motorcycle. A truck hit him, broke his arm in 5 places, killed the driver in front of him. He survived, but because there was no gas and no for the generator for power, they couldn't operate for days. They ended up having, anyway, when they tried to fix his arm, long story short is his arm he will never have use of his arm like he did before. So he went from being one of the most athletic, best athletes you could ever imagine, with a whole life in front of him, to that. But this is what I want to say. God got a hold of his life. I shared the gospel with him when he came back to Jeremy, and watching God change his heart, and watching the joy that this man exudes, when everything that you could say, he'd have every reason to be mad and bitter at God, but he's one of the most joyful, wakes up every day. It's not like, hey, my dad passed away, and you deal with that one thing. He wakes up every day with an arm that won't work. He's going to be faced with that the rest of his life. But if he's sitting in this room, he's the happiest person in the room. Awesome. Always has a smile. So I can give you more stories of the Haitians who they're going through so many hard things, but they have a joy about them and a presence. I always say I'm a better pastor, husband, father, because I've spent time in Haiti, because the Haitian people are so amazing. The question I would say is, those watching this, do you find joy in the Lord? Or do you find joy in your circumstances? Because if we are finding joy based on, because usually it's a season. Well, how are you doing? Oh, right now we're just struggling financially. Okay, but you're most likely going to get out of it. Hey, I'm struggling because I'm a little under the weather. You're going to get out of it. What about when you have something that you're never going to be able to use again, and you're never, ever going to be out of it? Do you find joy in the Lord? And that has always stuck with me, and that happened a long time ago. And he's one of our top leaders. But I've got a ton of stories of people who have lost or gone through or are going through daily struggles, but you would never know it because of the joy they radiate of just servanthood. And I'm like, if we could just all get a drop of that in us and allow Christ to just overflow with that joy, it'll change the way you do work, your ministry, your family, the way. So like I said, I feel more blessed that I get to work alongside these amazing men and women. And so for me, it's an honor to go get supplies and bring it to Agape, knowing that there's people out there that are going, hey, I got one arm. I'm going to go give this stuff out and give food out with one arm. I'm going to go serve. I'm going to drive a truck one arm and do everything I can do to make a difference in Haiti. well, what's stopping me? All right, I'll drive all over Florida getting stuff you need. So that would be my challenge, encouragement. That's the pastor coming out of me. Sorry, guys. I just think I want to model that. I wonder, what if we all modeled that, of just the joy of the Lord radiating no matter what circumstances we're going through.
Yeah, and it's the old adage Alan always says every time we go on like any missionary encouragement trip or anything like that, is he's just like, we're so rich over here. We have everything we need, but we have something that they have that we will never have, and that is the joy of the Lord. Because when you have nothing except for Him to hold on to,
Jesus is everything, 100%.
Oh, it's life changing.
Yep, 100%.
Mark, thank you so much for joining us today.
My privilege, man. Thanks for having me. So
I love that I get to sit on this side of the table and just learn at the feet of the people across from me and just hear their stories. And it's a beautiful thing. It truly is.
We love this guy, man.
Thank you.
We do.
Love him to death. In fact, sometimes I feel like killing him, but love him
My
to
bad,
death.
bro.
No, he is the
My
best.
bad. I'll quit trying to bring so much cargo in, but no.
We're going to end there before Bruce says something else crazy.
That's right.
So
thank you guys. Love you guys.
Thank you. Thank you guys for tuning in. Until next week, God bless.